ביאור משנה ד', explanation for משנה ד'. בת 12 שנה ויום אחד, somebody, a girl who's 12 years old and one day, הוא בן 13 שנה ויום אחד, or a boy who's 13 years old and one day, שהביאו שתי שערות, that are mature enough that they have hair down there, הרי הם כגדולים לכל המצוות. We're going to consider them like adults for all commandments. ומשלימים מן התורה, and they're obligated, whatever an adult is obligated, they're obligated. כלומר, שחייבים הם לצום ביום הכיפורים כל היום. They're obligated to fast in יום כיפור the entire day. אבל מדברי סופרים, but here comes the rabbi and they say, צריכים להרגיל את הילדים להתענות ביום הכיפורים. The adults have to train the children to fast in יום כיפור. אך קודם שהגיעו לפרקם, even before they reached the allotted time. משנתנו בא ללמד, our Mishnah comes to teach, מתי מחנכים את הילדים לצום? When do you teach your children to fast? From what age? התינוקות. תינוקות doesn't mean babies. תינוקות means children. No, children usually. Children, תינוקות. Before, general תינוקות is below 13. Someone is not obligated commandment. Yeah. אין מענים אותם ביום כיפורים. You do not make them fast on יום כיפור. אין חייבים למנוע מהם אוכל. You're not obligated to take food away from them. ומדברי הרמב"ם, נראה שמפרש משנתנו שאין רשאים למנוע מהם מאכל. It says, if a kid wants to come and eat, you're not allowed to tell him, don't eat. You're not allowed to. He wants to eat, you have to feed him. כלומר, אף על פי, this is a strange one, because in all other commandments, you know, you're allowed to tell the kid, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. You know, it's treif, it's not kosher, don't eat it. It's muktzeh, and you do that from the age he understands. Over here it says no. A 12-year-old comes over to you, says, I want to eat. You don't talk to him. Give him something to eat.
No, before.
A 12-year-old boy. A 12-year-old boy comes over to you. According to so far. A 12-year-old boy comes over to you, says, I want to eat. Any child, you know, you have to feed him. Don't start. It's not time for education right now. Okay? כלומר, אף על פי שמשאר המצוות, אם רוצה להקדים חינוכו של תינוק רשאי, even though in all other commandments, if you want to educate the kid before its time, you're allowed to, ומחנך אותו לעשות את המצווה כהלכתה, and you teach him to do the mitzvah the way it's supposed to, כגדול ממש, just like a grown-up. For example, you see a 12-year-old taking an ant and eating it, or a 5-year-old taking an ant, he says, no, mister, this is not kosher. But you see on Yom Kippur, a 12-year-old going, that's it. Don't do that. That's very strange. אינו רשאי לחנכו בעינוי לפני הזמן שקבעו לו חכמים. You cannot teach him to fast before the time that the sages is established. And we're going to see, it's not exactly 12, it's a little bit before, but you're not allowed to. If he wants to eat, you feed him. But the sages says, it's not going to be completely free for all. אבל מחנכים אותם, but you teach them, לצום שעות אחדות, to fast a few hours. שאם היו רגילים לאכול ב4 שעות, that if usually the kid would eat 10 o'clock in the morning, 4 שעות, after 6 o'clock, let's say sunrise, 4 hours later, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, מאכילים אותו ביום הכיפורים ב5 או ב6 שעות. יום כיפור, you feed him 5 or 6 hours into the day. But when is it? It's not when he's 8 years old. It's not when he's 8 years old. 8 years old, you know, לפני שנה ולפני שנתיים. It's when the kid is 12 or 11, not before that. Before that, don't educate him for fasting. לא לחנך. Yeah. קודם פרקם. בגמרא מבואר שכוונת משנתנו היא, so why does it say 11 or 12? What's the difference? Yeah? So the Gemara explains, they're actually important to know. שכוונת משנתנו היא שאם הילד חלש, if the boy is weak. You know, it depends on the kid. If he's a big, strong boy, yeah, he can do it at 11. But he's still a child, you know, at 11. Then you wait for 12 to do it, to start teaching him. Yeah. שאם הילד חלש ואין בו כוח לסבול העינוי, and it's hard for him to fast, מחנכים אותו לפני שנה, כלומר שנה קודם שהגיע לפרקו. Then you teach him a year before. וכשילד בריא, מחנכים אותו לפני שנתיים. But when he's healthy, even when 11 years old, you say, no, this guy is a big strong boy, he can do it 2 years before. כלומר שנתיים קודם. וכבר הקדמנו, שפרקו של 13, של בן הוא 13 שנה ויום אחד, and obviously we're talking about a boy, he's 13 years old, ופרקה של בת הוא 12 שנה ויום אחד, and a girl is 12. שאז בני עונשים הם, because from that time they're obligated in all commandments, because if they don't do it, they get the punishment, וחייבים להתענות מן התורה. הלקח מחנכים אותו לפני שנה ולפני שנתיים. So therefore the obligation is a year before or 2 years before. Why? בשביל שיהיו רגילים במצוות, so that they will know that the commandments are coming. יש סבורים, there are those who say in the Gemara, ששני מיני חינוך הם עניין הצום, that there's two kinds of education when it comes to fasting. חינוך לשעות, the first obligation is you obligate to hours. So we said up to now, the way we learned it is, look, if he's 11-year-old and he's weak, he doesn't fast. Nothing. In other words, if he wants to eat, let him eat whenever he wants. Yeah? But it says, the Gemara says, there's another opinion over here, that you can also educate for hours. That's what it's going to say now. חינוך לשעות, education for hours, וחינוך להשלמת הצום, and education for completion of the fast. בת 8 ובת 9, a girl who's 8 years old or 9-year-old, היינו שגמרה 8 ונכנסה לתשיעית, that she finished 8 year and now she's in the 9th year, או שגמרה 9 ונכנסה לעשירית, or she finished the 9th year and now she's in the 10th year, וכן בין 9 ובין 10 מחנכים אותה לשעות, and also 9-year-old or 10-year-old, you do educate it for hours, not for the whole fast, but you tell him another hour, that you're allowed to educate. בת 10 ובת 11, וכן בת 11 ובת 12, מחנכים אותם בסדר השלמה. And then 11 and 12, you educate for completion. Yeah, so some say this, not like we learned in the beginning that if he wants to eat, he wants to eat. היינו לצום כל היום. So if they're 11 and 12, they're for the entire things, for a girl, and for a boy 12 and 11, but before that, for both of them, let's say 8 and 9, you do educate for hours. And if the guy says, I want to eat right now, in 10 o'clock in the morning, you tell him, wait half an hour. We'll make it 10:30 or 11 o'clock, then you can eat. Okay. משלימים מן התורה, ואומנם לפי דעה זו, and according to this opinion, מתפרשת משנתנו בדרכים אחרות, then our Mishnah doesn't jive. אבל אין כאן מקום להאריך בזה, we're not going to go deep into this. If you want to learn more, עיין בגמרא ורש"י, ועיין רמב"ם ונושא כליו, look at all the other places, ועיין המאירי שמעריך בסוגיה זו, והוא כותב בתחילת דבריו, משנה זו וסוגיה של הפסק היוצא ממנה מבולבל בידי המפרשים. And then it says, according to this, you have to learn this Mishnah differently. I remember, if I remember correctly from the Gemara, there was a case over there with Rabbi Akiva and Beit Shammai, I think. That Beit Shammai, I think it was like this. Rabbi Akiva, it says on Yom Kippur, used to tell the congregants, go get out of shul. He used to drash, and then he used to tell everybody, get out of shul, go and feed your children. And Rabbi Akiva meant to go to feed your children because according to Rabbi Hillel wouldn't feed the children. There was such a svara. Not Rabbi Hillel, Rabbi Shammai. The Beit Shammai would not feed the children. They thought that children also are obligated in the entire tzom. And Rabbi Akiva came, and it was a whole story I remember over there. Rabbi Akiva came and says to everybody, you go feed your children, to take out the thinking of Beit Shammai. Because Beit Shammai thought even the children should fast. Yeah? Interesting thing. הרמב"ם פירושו למשתנו כותב, let's see what the Rambam says. ודע, so Rambam is going to give us the halacha. So what do? We sha'ot, we do according to hours, or we do according to completion. So the Rambam writes like this, ודע, and you should know. כי הזכרים, if you're a male, מ-13 שנים שלמות, from 13 years onwards, והנקבות מ-12 שנים שלמות, and the females from 12 years onwards, חייבים להתענות מן התורה. They're obligated to fast from the Torah. אם הביאו שתי שערות, as long as they're adults. They brought, they're adults. כי הנקבות סובלות התענית יותר מהזכרים. First of all, you should know, females are stronger than boys. And you can see, especially at that age, the females, some 12-year-olds are already mothers. And they, at that age, yeah? Yeah. לפי שמזג הזכרים חם וגופם נמס יותר. It is, let's talking today, men have testosterone. And it makes them weak for some kind of reason. In other words, men, if they don't eat, become weaker faster. והזכרים והנקבות, and then he says, okay, let's go. והזכרים והנקבות מ-11 שנה מתענים כל היום מדרבנן כדי לחנכם במצוות. And then the Rambam says, you should know, for 12 and 11 for the boys and the girls, they have to fast from the rabbis, because they have to know how to do the commandments. So in other words, they have an obligation to teach them how to do the entire one. ומ-9 שנים ומ-10 שנים, and from 9 and 10 years old, מתענים לשעות מן היום. He says they do have to fast for hours. בין זכרים בין נקבות בשווה. Exactly the same females or males, כדי שיתחנכו להתענות. So that they're going to know that the concept, that today is a fast day. ואין מאכילים אותם עד שיצערם הרעב. And you don't feed them until they're hungry. In other words, don't feed them before they're hungry. Yeah? Until they're hungry. So it's a little bit like Beit Shammai, because that's what Beit Shammai used to say. They need to be hungry. You know, what do you mean? Even kids, it looks like the Rambam holds almost like a little bit like Beit Shammai, even though he allows that. Because he says, yeah, because he says, but they have to suffer. Yeah, they have to. Rabbi Akiva, don't suffer. Go and feed them. Even if they don't want to eat, go and feed them. Yeah, they don't have to suffer according to Rabbi Akiva.